Oh, we will continue with the session 2, inshallah. It's still me from one side, and after it's Al Jazeera, we have gone 5 minutes. And I have some people in high places, eminent people. So I'm still here. We will continue with the second session. And as you would remember, in the first session, we discussed the circumstances and the state of affairs that brought or brings the flood. Why you need flood? Why humanity need a flood? What kind of warning it is, and so on. That's what we discussed in the first session, and now we will, inshallah, start discussing the flood itself and the time of flood. But if you don't mind, I should start. I'd like to start with, picking one person, and I'm looking at the person. Ask for a very short summary of the first session. Are you okay with that? Okay, so do you mind? Yeah, give it to Zaren, Sister Zaren, inshallah.
So the first session, we mostly talked about sort of what it meant. We talked about first what it meant to be, what we thought of when we heard of our prophet, what it means to be a prophet, and then we looked at some verses in the Quran related to Prophet Noah's story and how he carried out his warning to his people and the population versus that. Specifically, thinking about sort of how again how what his role like sent by sent from help from the creator.
Okay. Yeah. And do you mind giving the microphone to Muhammad Siad, inshallah? Would you like to, remind us, as we discussed from these ayats, or what type of, the barriers, the obstacles that we, talked about, that kind of, brought the flood? Why flood was necessary?
I to people, but then we're reading that verse with our own lives that can refer to anything that we make in our own lives. So whether it's idols or traditions, anything that prevents us from truly accepting the reality that's in front of us, because of the loss of something that we hold to be probably more important than what the message is for. So that's the main, that's sort of the barrier to accepting the message, is whatever traditions, idols, anything that's of eminence in your life that you fear losing by submitting to what it's called.
And any volunteer to remind us the main characteristics of this message the Nuh alayhi salam brought, or that we face when we read these ayahs? You seem to be.
It was to what I was like mainly to worship God alone.
Yeah,
that stood out.
Taqwa, like God consciousness. So what does it remind you when I say worship God alone? and have taqwa.
To not get caught up in these other gods or distractions. Firm, constant in your efforts.
And there was also this obey me part from the prophet. So do you mind reminding us, this obey me from the prophet, how it told us?
So it's basically showing a guideline you can follow to get closer to Allah, you can find Him and worship Him. That way you have a role model and a system you can follow instead of following your own desires. Find God for yourself.
That's a great point. Alhamdulillah. Like finding God yourself. I guess everybody has to find has to come to the conclusion that there must be a God. There must be something, someone creates all these. There's a personal journey for sure. But what kind of path you will take to know Him? How you implement this understanding, how you implement this conclusion in your life. This becomes a little, I guess, the challenge. And I guess at this moment, once you have an understanding that there must be a creator, and then this creator must speak to me. So believe in God, believe in Allah, believe in revelation. And then how am I going to live this revelation? How am I going to make sense of this revelation? Comes guideline, the guidance, believe in prophet. So you see all these check marks for belief in God, belief in books, belief in prophet. It's not just part of something that we memorize. It's a necessity. So these are pillar of the belief, not because that you have to memorize that and you will get a bad mark, bad grade if you don't tell them in order. They are pillars because without any of them, any one of them, your belief will be what's it? Decline? Decline? Not decline, like destroy. Like collapse. Yes, exactly. Earthquake. Come on. Without any one of these pillars, your belief will collapse. If you believe in God and books, meaning, okay, I'm Muslim, I'm reading Quran, and when it comes to what I'm going to read Quran, you say, I don't need any kind of like God speaks to me. I have these inspirations and so on. The book is in front of me. Your belief will collapse. Because the type of God now you are believing is something other than what Quran teaches. So it's really interesting. Like when we say, I believe in Allah, I believe in God, we assume that we all mean the same thing. Every religion, they mean something. No, it's not. When Sahaba, when they pray, for instance, not, of course, exclusively, like not all the time maybe, but when you see the examples, you can say that, oh, yeah, they got it. And I should do the same thing. How they pray for Allah, for instance. They say, oh Allah, the one I learned from your messenger Muhammad. They would pray like this. I came to you as I learned from Muhammad. I'm asking you as your messenger Muhammad والسلام, taught me. They would pray like this. What it means? It means I'm asking from the God, not any God, the God, the one prophet taught me, the way he taught me. Right? So without belief in prophet, without his guidance, role model in belief, not in military, but in belief. Your belief in God is, alhamdulillah, you have belief in God, at least, better than nothing. But it's about the pillars. And the other pillars as well, angel. Okay. But this is how we should be taking these pillars.
I don't know if it's right, but I made like a side connection of thoughts while you guys were discussing about the eminent people, right? So basically reminded me of fasting. The month of Ramadan is coming, right? So if you think about eminent people, they're rich, they're always full, they're always eating, they're always happy, right? When your belly is full, that's when you can consider other pleasures of life. And you can start hoarding money, you can start, whatever business, whatever, you start feeding yourself, you get education, PhD, whatever you want. But if your stomach is empty, that's your main concern. How can you feed yourself? And then they pointed out that the people who follow you are the ones who are poor people, like hungry people who are starving, they don't have anything. So the month of Ramadan is basically forces us to fast, right? So we can't feed our stomach. That way we're not feeding our ego. And it's basically you're playing for the other side of the thing. And then when you're, showing empathy towards like the poor people, you start looking for that prophetic guidance in your life. That way you can follow that instead of the whole entire year, you're just feeding your status, you're feeding your ego, you're feeding because I have this car and that car. You're just building those idols. And in the month of Ramadan, you decide to fast for the sake of Allah. Like you can hide in a room and try to eat, but if you don't do that, you're showing to Allah that you have taqwa and you're not trying to break your fast whenever you feel like. Just because I have, let's say, if I drive a Lamborghini, I'm gonna break my fast at Zohar time. Just because I have a PhD, I'm gonna eat whatever I want. So you're basically putting God first. So you're basically switching that perspective from the eminent people, and you're pointing for the other team, the poor people. And then that's when like the guidance can like help you, or you see the guidance.
Alhamdulillah, thank you for the spoilers of third session. But Alhamdulillah, that's a good transition. But we will get
Next time, give me a summary of slides.
Okay, now, I just made the funny part. Now it's the serious part.
Okay, so I guess kind of summarize the story for where we are is the people are denying, they're saying, oh, you keep disputing us. If there's a punishment, bring it. It's no prophet knows says, if God wishes to bring it, he'll bring it. You're asking for it. But they're not receptive to it. So we're there in the verses. And I guess we could first read through the verses and then I think we just read it. I won't run out of time. So, and it was revealed to Noah that no one will believe from your people except those who have already believed. So do not be distressed by what they have been doing. And construct the ship under our observation, our inspiration, and do not address me concerning those who have wronged. Indeed, they are to be drowned. And he constructed the ship, and whenever an assembly of the eminent his people passed by him, they ridiculed him. He said, if you ridicule us, then we will ridicule you just as you ridicule. And you are going to know who will get a punishment that will disgrace him on earth, and upon whom will descend an enduring punishment. So it was until when a man came and the oven overflowed, he said, load upon it of each 2 mates and your family, except those about whom the word has preceded, and whoever has believed, but none had believed with him except the 2. And Noah said, embark therein in the name of Allah are its course and its anchorage. Indeed, my Lord is forgiving and merciful. And it sailed with them through waves like mountains. And Noah called to his son who was apart from them, O my son, come aboard with us and be not with the disbelievers. But he said, I will take refuge on a mountain to protect me from the water. Noah said, there is no protector today from the decree of Allah, except for whom he gives mercy. And the waves came between them, and he was among the ground. And it was said, O earth, swallow your water, and O sky, withhold your rain. And the water subsided, the matter was accomplished. And it came to rest on the Mount of Duty, and it was set away with the wrongdoing people. And Noah called to his Lord and said, My Lord, indeed my son is of my family, and indeed your promise is true, and you are the most just of judges. He said, O Noah, indeed, he is not of your family. Indeed, he is one whose work was other than righteous. So ask me not for that about which you have no knowledge. Indeed, I advise you lest you be among the ignorant. So we can start from here and try to understand the story, the guidance in it, how I can understand it. What does the flood mean? There's very key concept here. Like, what's the flood? What's the mountain? The sun? What's Bismillah? You know, the ship sailed with Bismillah. Apparently, it was waves like the size of mountains. Is the description that the Quran gives us. So we can understand what does this mean, and how do I understand this in my life? How can I interpret this as guidance? Like my Creator is teaching me guidance. So when I read this verse, Brother Bikram, no one will believe from your people except those who have already believed, so do not be impressed by what they have been doing. It almost seems like hopelessness of it. Like there's no hope for them. They're not going to believe. It's like, I don't wish to be abandoned by my Creator. So I can put maybe myself in the shoes of those people. I almost feel like I'm like, I don't want to be abandoned. Like, what if I do something wrong? Is my Creator always still going to say, there's nothing to be done with them, just leave them? Like, how can I understand this so I don't feel that despair for myself?
So I don't want to be abandoned. So, I mean, it's not true generally. Like if you are faced with a ideology, for instance, which you don't think, like something like what's called psychology. Some people can come and try to convert you this ideology, and they say, each other, "I'll live in a very good way that you can save him," and so on and so forth. You don't care about, being about, would you? You would say that. So, I mean, if we are putting ourselves in their shoes, as you said, this is how they felt as well. They wanted to be about, but it will come even that they will say, in the first session, studied the ayah, like you disputed with us, and you make it too long. What are you talking about? Right? Like they didn't want that. Like they didn't want their guidance. So sometimes we want to be about them. Like somebody comes and tells us something, like we have to update. Or somebody comes and tells me something that I don't like, which is against my traditional understandings, and I want to be about it. I guess that's all. And another thing, like we should be also maybe careful with what we are trying to empathize with. So we can, like, if we take it from historical perspective, just to give you a context, for instance, the people we're talking about are the ones who try to put an obstacle between the knowledge and the other people. Right? So it's not that they didn't believe. It's not that they didn't, want to listen. They also try to prevent others to listen. They make it impossible that the truth message would be, would find its way, let's say, to people. They work hard to prevent this. So when this is the case, and when we say truth, it's so cold, it's external. But think it that way, like this guy, gentleman, is suffering from a painful illness. It's so painful that he cannot bear. And you have the cure. You have the medicine, and you are trying to reach him, to give the medicine. And he is ready to get the medicine. But this bad guy comes with hoodie. This bad guy comes and tries to prevent this transaction. Both physically, preventing you physically, but also so-called intellectually, telling him about, like telling him lies about the medicine. You know, it's stupid. It's against your ex, against your wife. Exactly, government gonna track you. Right? There's a chip inside, and so on and so forth. God needs to be removed. It's not, you know, it's not joke. It's not, you know, oh no, we have to love everybody. No, this guy needs to be removed. He's in a painful situation. The truth, the medicine in this case, needs to reach him. So this is the historical perspective. When we take it for ourselves, it's the same thing. Whatever prevents me reach to the medicine I need in my life. If it is my love to my job, for my job, if it is my love to my parents, my culture, my one scholar, another scholar, doesn't matter. If this is preventing me from getting the cure for my illness, it needs to be removed from my life.
These things, it's chosen to block the authority. Like when we take it in terms of the people, they've been given the warning, but they've actively blocked it, actively decided to not take it. And then God says they won't, there's no hope for them because they chose that, their own. And in my own life, there are the things maybe I try to keep, like you were saying, I try to keep a hold of, I try to make sense of, but really, they also need to be just removed, as you said. I was trying to think of an example of this, like a very practical one. I think an easy one is like happy hours at workplaces, like networking. This is like the most easy one that it's not even too hard to make you reject because you're just like, why should I? You feel the need to go there and also network and get people to know you, whatever this means. But then it's also a bar, you know, places like this that you don't want to go. And you maybe could justify why I won't drink, or I'll just, you know, I'll leave earlier or something. But you know, there's nothing good there, like to go there. And maybe this idea needs to be removed. Like I need to attend. But there could be other events in your life too. Like I think you were talking earlier about how scholars, even scholars, could be idolized. I think if you idolize, for example, I'm kind of just making this up, but all you care about is how someone. I don't think this is controversial. It's all you care is how someone reads Quran with Tajweed, for example, and that's the only person that you're willing to listen to. Maybe this is actually something that needs to be removed from you as well, because you need someone to be in a certain state, the way to speak in a certain way, but then some other person comes and speaks truth, but you've already blocked it. Like let's say a white man professor comes and he says something, you're like, who are you? Get out of it. You're nothing. So there's these things within you as well, which could be blocking that truth, which you might need to remove. That might not seem as also like from the disbelief.
So it's for you that it is a mercy for you. Like if you have a cancer, may Allah if you have a cancer, the tumor needs to be removed because it's preventing you from being healthy. It needs to be removed. You need to have the surgery. So it is needed for you. It's for your benefit, for your own benefit. The same way it's for the humanity's benefit that we need this blood, such blood. And like if we, what the next one? Yes, we will study the first part, but the second part, and do not address me concerning those who have wronged. Indeed, they are to be drunk, or they are drunk. So we usually want to hold on the things that we love, and we cannot let them go, even if we know that they are preventing us from reaching the medicine. And I have certain qualities, certain styles, like being sarcastic, for instance, for something I cannot abandon. But at the same time, I know that it prevents me in most situations from the medicine that I do. And Quran says, don't hang on to them. Like what was the word you taught me other day? Cling. Yes, cling on to. Don't cling on to them, because they will not flow. Like they will not keep you afloat. Is my English now. They will not keep you afloat. When the flood comes, right? They will not let you sail on the flood, but they will take you down. Quran says, don't cling on. Let them go. Again, like, don't take it as some stupid people. I had these unbelievers, they deserve to be. No, there's no such thing. Quran is not talking here about just regular unbelievers. Quran is talking about here about the things, about the factors, about people forcing you to be unbelievers. These needs to be go. Needs to go. Don't. Otherwise, they will drown you. They will be drowned means they will not, what is it? Sing. No, it's of the single word. That they will not flow. They will sink. And if you hold something that sinks, you go down. You go with them.
There be another practical example of our lives that makes more like this could also be a question. What's something that you feel in your life that you can't let go of, but it keeps sinking? And I think one is this idea of like career success. That could be one. Like you need to be very successful. You need to work very hard and keep. I know in academia you have to keep publishing papers, keep publishing. In career you have to keep rising or doing something, over delivering. Like there's this idea of something you want to be successful. At the same time, you find your whole life is centered around this, and you can't let go of it. And it's drowning in some sense because it's just not aligned with the rest of your whole view. Like if you're saying this me up, but then you go to work and it's all about your next promotion, then there's a disalignment there. It could be drowning you. So maybe you need to get fired or something. There needs to be some sort of flood so that you're warned. You come back to your son. You see that, oh, my desire for success was misplaced. So I understand that there are parts of me that will be drowned, that needs to be drowned. But so now I'm commanded to construct the ship under Ayuna, so under our observation and our inspiration. Like, so when I'm trying to understand this as guidance for myself. So my creator is telling me, you have these people or you have these things inside of you, which you will be hit with a flood. So construct this ship under our eyes, under our observation, and with our inspiration. Supervision. But like, how does this manifest? Like, what does it mean for me to construct the ship under his supervision and his inspiration? Like, what other ways is there to construct it? Like, what does it even mean to construct it?
So this, I guess, like this, when we studied this ayah, the story of Noah, instead of the one thing struck me most is such a beautiful explanation of what is Bible, like the revelation, what is prophecy. I mean, Quran, if you listen, if you carefully read, forget about everything. Like this is another thing that would ground us. When we sit in front of Quran, we read it as, oh, I know this ayah. I know the revelation, the story of the revelation. I read it before from this tafsir, that tafsir, from this person, that person. I already know. When you sit in front of Quran with such a mindset, when you don't have a question, right, it will not talk to you. You will just read it, and alhamdulillah, you will get your benefit, bare minimum, just by reading it. It is promised. But it will not give you guidance. Because you already, when you start reading it, you already started with the belief that I already know this ayah. But instead, when you read Quran and say that, okay, let me teach you. Teach me. Right? Tell the Quran, teach me. I don't know. You tell me. You know. Let me listen to you. When you sit and read with such a mindset, when you don't take this as just, as unbelievers would do, according to Quranic descriptions, that story of ancient people. When you don't do that, it will tell you about the most important things that you need. And again, here we see that Quran is beautifully defining, reminding us about the Wahid, revelation, the Iman in books, belief in books, belief in revelation, and the belief in prophet. So we will come there, but there's it.
Okay, what is our ship? That was the question. How do I recognize the ship in my life?
Okay, yeah.
What is it? And also, what does it mean that it's going to be built with observation?
So let me repeat the question if they didn't hear. What is this ship in our life and how we construct? Okay. So what we studied so far is that winter is coming. Right? You should be prepared. The flood is coming. So it will come, right? If you are in such a situation, it will come. And you should be prepared for it. And Quran says, do your preparation without revelation and under our supervision. So what it means is you need something that will keep you afloat when the flood is coming. And what is flood for us? It's everything about our life. And let's start from there. It's wavy, the troubles that we go through. Every fight with your family, every fight with your loved ones, every struggle that you have in college when you study data science, right? It will clean, certain things and leave others. So you need something that will keep you afloat among these waves. And Quran says it is our revelation. The understanding of that's the reason the title was boarding the ship of what? Taqdeer. The idea only and only idea of taqdeer will keep you afloat. What it means, whatever comes to me, coming from my creator. This fight I had is from my creator. It's designed and created just for me as a medicine. But the flood itself is the medicine that you need, the surgery that you need. Such an understanding, like everything is creation of my Lord, such an understanding is part of this ship. Right? And how you build it or how you board on it? By following the path of prophet, the supervision. To me, the supervision is the path of prophet. It means you cannot build it by yourself. You cannot sit, read some books and so on, and say that, I will find my Lord. I will find tawhid myself. I will apply it in my life. God says, no, it has to be under our supervision. We will teach you. We will show you. It's not like, again, going back to example with my daughter. I don't tell my daughter how to do it and then leave her. It doesn't work that way. I have to hold her hand and do it with her, show her, be an example. Then she will understand. The same way Quran says, you have to follow the set of prophets. However your prophet lived the tawhid in his life, this is the way that you live, and this will be your ship. Now you are saved. When flood comes, you will not drown. You will be kept afloat. The same flood, which kills some people or some part of you, will keep you afloat. The same flood, and you will be sailed on it. So it will be a means of traveling from one point to another point. It will serve for you. Flood. The Nuh alayhi salam and a few believers living with him. Again, from a historical perspective, they need to be removed from them. They need another place to flourish. And the flood made it happen. They sailed on the flood and reached to the place that they will be flourished. They will flourish. Right? The same flood for unbelievers, when you don't board on the ship of Tawhid, you see it as what? Oh, these whales coming here to kill me. I having to, fight with my, let's say, husband all the time. He's just trying to make me crazy. It's his fault. He doesn't understand me, or she doesn't understand me. My parents, they don't understand me. Like, this life is unbearable. You will be drowned. But when you see it as a creation of your thought, even this fight, this insult this guy, made me with his eyes. He's created. Maybe he's not there. He's just being, the actor in the medicine, that they created for me by my Lord. Maybe he's not conscious of it. Who cares? But the experience I'm having with him when he insults me is my medicine created by my Lord. So you're raising your hand, or okay?
Very quick question. So, what are the alternatives of raw material for the ship? In here it is Wahi and under our supervision. What are the alternatives?
Alternatives are wood, nails.
And in our practical life, yes, not wood and nails, but in our practical life, what are the alternatives? Like, if I don't choose to do it with Wahi, how do I make this ship? How else do I make this ship? Under whose eyes do I try to build this? With what other than Wahi do I try to build it in our practical life? Because it looks like it's not going to work. What is it? What are the alternatives?
The use of shift is not just for movement. So shift meaning it's going to be for multiple. It's going to be a big group that's going to be a shift, not just you get a boat and that person gets a personal boat. You build your own. So you just, I guess, who's going to be on that ship? People with the same mentality, same iman, same, and then you get built that community on top of that. Ship, right?
Another great point about the Prophet, again, it's not, a personal journey of Nuh alayhi salam. It's a path for all of us. We can now board on the same ship, the path that he opened up. It's not a personal journey for us. And the same thing for you as well. When you board on the ship, the taqid, when you leave it, the people around you will take you as an example as well. But would you like to comment on the Yusuf question?
You're trying to
So what is the alternative? Like if you don't build your ship out of wahi and supervision, what would be the alternative?
Yeah, I guess this comes like the alternative is what the eminent people are doing, who are not building the ship. They say we don't need a ship. I mean, if you don't feel the need for it, like I don't. The ship you're building, like, I don't think you're asking like if there's a different material, but what's the alternative to building a ship? Like, what other path is there? Like, if he doesn't build the ship, then what other choice is there for him? And there, I think you would be like the people who think they don't need a ship. They don't need that. They don't believe a punishment is coming. They believe that, what are you talking about? I have everything. I'm not going to lose anything. There's that worldview. And then they have messengers come. So even like the eminent people, they still have the messengers coming that are telling them, oh, you're not as strong as you think. You're not as independent as you think. You're actually being trained, you're being sustained, but they're ignoring those messages. And they choose to ignore them because they think they have this illusion of power, of wealth. So they think, I don't need a ship. I can take care of myself. I have a job. I feel like I'm taking care of myself. I'm sustaining my family. I'm earning money. I don't need a ship. What God is sustaining? I think I can look at it that way. I don't need someone to come and save me. I don't need to build a ship to be saved. I'm already doing amazing. I have a job. But then I get hit with a flood. Let's say I get fired. And there, because I think I'm going to sustain myself, I'm one of the people that drown. So that's the alternative to building it. Because I haven't built it. Because I believe in myself. Because I don't think I need help. I'm not constructing anything under someone's supervision. Under like with the inspiration of like the creator. I think that's the alternative. So one alternative is like approaching something with belief. Actually, not even approaching, constructing something with belief. It's very interesting because you're constructing it. You're not even like walking down a path. It's like you're literally gathering up materials and constructing a ship, constructing something that is going to save you. And again, you're not constructing it by yourself, but under his supervision. Like there is this idea of as you're trying to construct the ship, you're still seeking guidance. You're trying to seek the path of the prophet. You're trying to understand that you're not alone.
So this is alternative to building the ship as whole. Like instead of boarding on the ship of Taqi, like the oneness of God. But there's also this alternative ships that you can try to build, alternative ways to build a ship. So in Quran, for instance, the ayah says, you need a ship, that the flood is coming, you need a ship that will keep you afloat, and you can build this ship only through revelation and supervision. Again, the way I understand is the Quran, the revelation, and the path of prophet. That's how I understand it. So what is the alternative to that? Let's go practical. You have a fight with your loved ones, a friend, or someone else with you. Right? We have a fight, and Quran says flood is there now, and you will be either be drowned with this fight, within this fight, or this fight will keep you afloat. The Quran says if you take this fight with him, he's insulting you, right? Telling you all these bad things and so on and so forth, and you're feeling bad. Quran says if you take it from the Quranic like a Wahi perspective, meaning again, that this event is created by the same God who creates it, by the same God who creates the feeling in me that I don't like. Right? Obviously, he's trying to tell me something. For one thing, he says, that the injustice, the insult, is not something that he likes, so I should keep my distance. But I know him more about my Lord now, my Rav. When I read it this way, right? And then, I question why I feel this way, why he is feeling this way, all from the perspective that they are also people, right in the moment, for me, so that I get a lesson out of it. When I think about the event in this way, it will keep me afloat, meaning I will get closer to my Lord. And this guy will be just an actor in the play, right? I don't care about the insults anymore. I only care to them to the extent that they are teaching me something, that this feeling and so. But if I do the alternative, meaning if I read it not in the name of God, not as a revelation, but in the name of Him, and I will try to understand His mindset. I will try to, develop some strategies to make my relationship in different way with Him. And this is what we do with our boss, with our, employees, with our friends, with our parents. We always strategize. We try to solve the problem within the realm of the creative things. We read things in their names. There's no wahi there. Right? When we do that, even though we, for a moment we think, we find a solution, next time I behave this way or that way, next time you will see that it won't work either. And you will get crazy. The only thing you can do, punch him back. So it will drown you. All these experiences you have in life, all these troubles you have in life, if you don't read them from a revelation perspective, that they are created for you by the Lord who created me, who knows me best, you will be drowned. So the alternative, I guess, is reading them in the name of some other things. Another alternative would be reading them in the name of some scientific explanations, for instance, talking about some neuroscientific, the facts and so on and so forth. They are true. They are facts. They're just observations, but they wouldn't keep you afloat. You need an understanding the meaning of it. They will act only as the material, the wood, and the nail, and so on. But you have to put them together in the right way, so that you will save. Sorry?
Allah's blueprint. Now using your own.
Yes, not your own blueprints, but Allah's blueprint of you, blueprint of the creation.
I guess this that we argued in our eyes actually. So this eyes is also the eye is also important because when I'm trying to build a ship, I am taking what would Rahman say about my strategy. Like my norm then becomes either I'm trying to build it so that it's going to please the society's norm, it's going to please my parents' norm and whatnot. But like Creator is saying that the ship that will save you could be done for me in my eyes. This should be your concern, not other stuff.
And if others become your concern, then you will be drowned with all these infinitely many concerns. But you have to please everything in your life. Like not believing God. When you try to please, not believing God, the one God, means believing in millions, infinitely many gods. There is no alternative in between. If you don't think everything is created by one God, it means everything is a God by itself. And then you have to please them all. Who works here in a workplace? I know some of you are students, but okay, you. What's your name?
So
Usama. Usam, salam alaikum. Do you mind if I ask a few questions? Yeah. Do you mind keep the keep the microphone? Yeah. So Usam, you work where? I mean, if you don't mind.
The MRC address.
Drexel. Okay. So you are
Teach my
okay. You're a teacher. Okay. Alhamdulillah. So to be successful in your workplace, what is the strategy? Like, who do you need to please?
my student.
Students, how many?
Depends.
Every term you have many, right?
Yeah.
You have to please all of them. Yeah. Who else? Yeah. You know, your chair, department, dean, whatever. And then when you start counting, it's probably more than 10 people just in the hierarchy, like the students on one side, and then the others, like the dean or department chair, the others teachers. If they don't like you, they will start, you know, telling things about you, right? So you have to please all of them. There are also certain ideologies that you have to please. For instance, they will tell you that you need to go to the class and so I'm trying to be politically correct so that, you know, people would not get harmed here. So, for instance, they start talking about certain things that you don't believe. Let's say, okay, some certain identities, for instance. Can you say anything?
Yeah.
You have to even act as if you comply with it, right? You will ask you to, you know, attend some trainings and so on and so forth. And every time you will say, yes. Right? So there are many people that you have to please. All these campus students, you have to please. And these ideologies you have to comply with. And I'm not even talking about your salary or, you know, are you married? Okay. So you don't have to please your Mine is one. So
It's just half of the world, right?
how many of them you can control? Your students, can you control their minds? But you constantly try, right? You say, if I do this, if I teach them this way, maybe if I give, you know, less homeworks or more homeworks, maybe they will be pleased, right? You are praying. You are kind of quote unquote worshiping. Like they have to be pleased, right?
Yeah.
And what happens? I'm sure you have a stressful job life, right?
Yeah. Responsibility.
Yeah, all these responsibilities, and it's drowning you, right? Because what? Don't get me wrong, like this is the same with me as well. Like I have the same problem.
We are on the same boat.
Yeah, we are on the same boat. Exactly. Why? Because you are building your ship using this boat, using the wrong method. Quran says build it using wahi and supervision, but you, again, me,
Yeah.
right? I'm trying to build it what? Through the pleasing students, pleasing my boss and others, on these ideologies and so on. You're trying to do that to keep you afloat, just like Nuh alayhi salam's son will try. He will say, no, I will climb to a mountain. You say, no, I don't need any, you know, such Quranic perspective or whatever. I'm a good teacher. I will prepare the best slides and the students will be happy, you will say. It will drown you. Right? And you know that. So I guess this is, you know, what Quran means. Build it with wahi and supervision, not something else. Otherwise, you're drowned. Does that make What is your name again? Your name again?
So,
Usam. Usam. Okay. That's it.
Mashallah, I feel like you covered everything, but we can go to the next verse. I think the next verse is relevant because we can do that. And he constructed the ship, and whenever an assembly of the eminent of his people passed by him, they ridiculed him. He said, if you ridicule us, then we will ridicule you, just as you ridicule. So let's just understand the first sentence. Like whenever these eminent people pass by them, they ridicule.
I think in this example, where you have all these people in your workplace you need to please, all these people in your life you're always trying to please around you in society. I think you could say they're also ridiculing you. Like in some sense, if you do, since you're trying to please them so much, but then you can't please them because you have this innate, you have limitations, and then they walk by you and they ridicule you if you're trying to please them. I think here though, no, Prophet no, he's constructing the ship in terms with inspiration under the supervision of his creator. And yet they also still ridicule him. So it's a bit of a different perspective. And I think this is if you're this is like kind of what would it be? What's a good example? Like I'm trying to walk on the right side. I'm trying to I mean I think this is actually the story of Iblis, you could say. Prophet Adam was trying to walk on a certain path, but then Iblis comes and says, don't you want to be immortal? Don't you want to be an angel? Here, come down this path. And it kind of tricks you. Like these things in our life, they come and they ridicule us. Like I could ask you, hey man, why haven't you achieved being a dean? Why haven't you gotten higher in academia? Or why haven't you, you're spending all your time with this, but what's it actually gaining you? Would you even have a house? Do you have a car? What's your car? Like I could ridicule you with so many materialistic things and other things, like saying you don't have anything actually. And you're trying to live your life with a certain type of mindset. And I think the next,
We have
Okay.
a question, so that's we.
let me tie it to the, if he said, if you ridicule us, then we will ridicule you just as you ridicule. So this is a bit of a mouthful, but basically, I have these things that ridicule me. And then Prophet Nuh says, if you ridicule us, then we will ridicule you, just as you ridicule. It almost feels like not a prophetic response, I would say. Some prophet is getting, you're being insulted, and your response is fight fire with fire. Is that how you understand it? Before we get to the question, or you will get to the question first?
Oh, let's read the question if you
Okay.
want, so that I can close. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay, then let's put that on the side.
Oh, but no, we can continue from there as well. So, Munif Baysoun says sometimes our loved ones drown repeatedly due to their actions and saved by mercy of Allah. But they don't realize, or perhaps are not able to understand the gravity of their situation. How can we help them to build the right ship? I guess it goes back to maybe Fahim's question, which is, it's not that the Prophet Nuh alayhi salam boarded on ship by himself, but it was the people around him as well. And I don't know, my lazy answer to this question would be, Quran is talking to you, right? It is you that being drowned, not others. I mean, the others also being drowned, that's for sure. But first and foremost, it's you that being drowned. And if you board on the ship, on the right ship yourself, if you live your life according to Tawheed, right? Then if people, don't have their obstacles, barriers between them and this message, as we discussed in the first session, they will board on the same ship with you as well. So you cannot make people to board on the ship. You cannot make people to have the right path. All you can do is taking the right path yourself, be an example, and that's all. But with the idea of being the example, it's not like, it's my life. That's the only thing I care. No, you care about the others, but as a solution, you try to follow the Prophet, the path of the Prophet, and become a mirror of it, so that people will be benefited from the light that is reflected from you. I guess that's the only thing that you can do.
I was going to ask a question. It's related to this from one of the verses where Prophet Islam is asking Allah, save my son, he's from my family. And the response Allah gives is like, obviously he didn't believe, so he's not part of your family. So he disconnects it, even though that's his blood. He said that's not part of your family. So, like, that's my question. Like a relationship between what he was at. You know, if they're your family and you're bringing that message to of Allah to them, and they reject Allah, are they really your family? Even if your blood is blood.
That's a great question, and inshallah we will come to this at the end because the Nuh alayhi salam's son also had similar situation.
That's
Yeah. And we will come to that, inshallah. So yeah. So yeah. Go ahead.
Just, I mean, I think we covered a lot of this, but I'm trying to understand his response. So he says, if you ridicule us, if you make fun of me, then we will make fun of you. But what you made fun of me with. First, how could this be a prophetic response? Because it almost seems like if you insult me, I'll insult you back, even though I don't believe that is what it is. Yeah, how does this work in my life? Like, should I be ridiculing others? Should I also be fighting with others, like fight them with fire? Like, what would be the meaning of this?
When I read this ayat, like it reminds me something like, if you speak English, and if I want to teach you something, explain you something, I should speak in what? Not Japanese, right? English. So that you can relate. Right? Otherwise, you cannot relate. You cannot get the message out of it. So when he says, in tasfaru minna fa inna nasfaru, right? If you ridicule us, then we will ridicule you. But how? Minkum, nasfaru minkum kama, like whatever tasfaru, using whatever you use, meaning using whatever you understand. So give you a practical example, maybe. Like, at least in my life, it always happens this way. I don't know if the others, but when I belittle something, I always get the same thing in my life, right? And I don't think it as a punishment. I say, oh, now I understand, right? So, for instance, let's select the face target. Sorry, the east target. You, my brother. So I look at him, right? I look at him this way. No. You have to be your boss. I look at him. I say, he needs to wear glasses, right? His eyes are not that powerful. His eyes are weak. Right? And he responds. Now I have to wear glasses. So again, I don't take this as a punishment for sure, but how I take it, because it's being created by my Lord, right? Who created the situation in front of me, these feelings and so on and so forth. Now I understand the first time that there's no better experience than this one. I understand this eye power or whatever. It's not mine. The sight, it's not mine. If it is powerful, it is powerful. If it's not powerful, it's not powerful. Not under my control. Nothing about me. It's not because I have better genes than him. It's not because I'm stronger than him. It's not because I'm more handsome than him. I can count endless things. But it's not the reason. The reason is the same creator, for some reason, he had his wisdom. He thought that it would be best for him to give him the weak eyes. And now I say, oh, the sight is created by the same creator. Now I know. Before I didn't know it. And like a serious diversion. I can tell you when, within a halakha circle, I can tell you that everything is created by him. He's the creator. I can say that. But I still don't know, don't understand that my sight is being created by him as well. And I needed to remind him. how in the way that I would best understand. So it would be impactful one, right? It will strike me. Oh, this class. So we will ridicule you the same way you ridicule. Exactly the way you need. So we mentioned this before, I guess, in another discussion. The calamity, right? In English. The Arabic word is musiba, right? Musiba comes from the Greek. It's the same word which is isaba, meaning just on the target, right? If you throw what is it? Darts, and if you hit just the middle, this is throwing with isaba, right? So the musiba, the calamity, just what you need, exactly. It's just on the target. What comes as flood is just what you need. It's not just random flood. It's not because rain poured too much and there was a glitch in the system. You couldn't put enough barriers and so on and so forth. No. It was designed in the perfect way. You needed this thing, just in this very way. This is what I understand. It's not like the punishment or just taking your revenge, but rather it's saying that, oh, you need such a training. Okay, yes, I will give you the exact, training exactly this way that you need.
Like the path that you chose, since you're ridiculing me for this, the path that you choose is going to also drown you. Like if you chose to see money as your source of your strength, of your power, but then if God wants to then give you a warning through his mercy or remind you through his mercy, then in the future that money is going to be the thing that you lose. And then for you that'll be like you ridiculed yourself. Like this money, you valued it so much. But there is exactly where the training. That's exactly the message that you needed. Right at the point. We have 15 minutes.
Okay. And you are going to know who will get the punishment that will disgrace, and upon whom will descend an enduring punishment. So there are two mentions of azab. The one is azab yuqtihi, and then the other one azab muqim, like a permanent, like staying there, not going in.
And similar to like what we said before about how like the things that you see as your creator, the things that you are trying to please, they end up ridiculing you. They end up being your fault. If I'm trying to, if I'm trying to fix problems with my own power, if I need to support myself, I need to be my own sustainer. I will be tripped up somewhere, and then when I fall, it will disgrace me because I thought I was powerful. Are you kidding me? And then the next one, it will also be an enduring punishment because I don't want to let go of my pride, my ego. I want to say, no, I can't take care of myself. I'll keep trying to fall. I'll keep trying to get up and I'll keep falling. I'll keep trying to get up and keep falling. And they say, it's like have a positive mindset. Just keep trying. I don't know. You can do all these things, but your destination is always going to be falling because your foundation is broken. So it's going to be an enduring punishment. You'll be living in hell because you constantly are burning when you get up.
And maybe one again practical example. Now, who is student? Not working. You are okay. Let's go with you. Don't mind. Tell us your name, inshallah.
Safa.
That will be short. So you get homeworks, right? Safa? Are you taking this class? Are you going to? Yeah, he will give. He gives a lot of homeworks, right? He's famous for that. So all these fake homeworks. So what happens when you don't do your homework, or you just do it by, let's say, copying it from ChatGPT? Right? What happens?
You don't learn it.
You don't learn anything, right? You get bad grades from your homework. So you get a bad grade from your homework, just homework, right? It's the azab you've sinned. Right? So it humiliates you. You just in the moment you get the bad grade. And next time he sees you on the corridor, he will smile at you and say, you know, got this terrible grade. It humiliates you. But at the same time, it doesn't stay there, right? Like if you keep doing this, for instance, what happens to your final grade? No.
Oh,
Like your homeworks are terrible.
Oh,
Yeah.
then that will keep going down.
Yeah. Your final grade is also bad, right? So it's not stay there. This azab, it doesn't stay there. Like not learning, for instance. It also affects the end goal, everything about the course. So azab and mukim is also there. So when you
He also put his name to blacklist.
yeah. So yeah, your name will be in blacklist, so it will be mukim. So when you try to solve the problems not through revelation, the path of prophet, this is what happens. You are humiliated in the moment because you cannot find a solution. But your future is also gone. Once you start attributing things to yourself, like I have to solve this problem. Okay, I'm having a problem with Asim. I always have a problem with this guy, right? And I'm trying to solve it myself, my methods, right? Even if I solve it, I already took the responsibility of solving all the future problems as well. I have to solve them again. Next problem I face, I have to solve it. There's no God to help me. I already guarantee that because this is my belief now. I solve problems. So it doesn't stay there. It becomes something, what's the word? Sorry? Endless, maybe, yeah. Oh, so speak and then I will repeat. Otherwise, giving to my phone.
So there's so far in your presentation, there's an emphasis that in building this ship, one has to utilize revelation and the instruction of prophet rather than one's own self, right? But let's say I get into an argument with my good friend here. At the end of the day, I'm still going to try to figure out how to send the best text, the best balance of emojis that doesn't come off passive aggressive, that accommodates her feelings. Like there's still an act that I need to do. So my question is, what exactly do you mean in my practical life to utilize revelation and prophet? Because that just seems very distant.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So the question is, so I still have to do something. When I have an argument with my friend, I have to text a message with beautiful emojis, said, right, to make it better. So I have to do something. It's not that, just because I believe it, I leave it to my God, everything done by me. And that's true on one sense. But what is the practical? So going back to Hussam, what he's going to do, not pleasing students, boss, and so on. What is the practical solution, right? So Nuh alayhi salam, he's still using wood and nail to build the ship, right? He's still using the same material. And he, Hussam, will continue doing his best to teach to the students. But it's more like understanding. He will know that his success is not from students or not from the boss. His happiness not from them. He does his job in the best way because he's supposed to do it the best way because his creator gives him this sense of responsibility. Because his creator gives him a sense of justice. And when he looks around, when he looks at the creation, he sees everything in the perfect order. And he says, I have to save. I have to do I have to be part of this perfect order. if I don't prepare beautiful slides, it will be against the justice that I observe in education. My creator doesn't like it. He puts this, dissatisfaction in me when I do that. He will do the same thing. But he wouldn't expect anything from us, whether they like it or not, whether they give good grades or not to him. He wouldn't be worried about that. Some others will do the same thing. They will try to be the best slides, but they will do it to impress students. And they will be drawn by the anxiety. Every time they step into class, they will look at the student's face and tremble. Am I going to lose my job? Right? They will be drawn with that. But with him, Hussam, mashallah, alhamdulillah, inshallah, all of us will be like you one day. He will just, enter the classroom. He will say, I did my best. Because my creator wanted me this way. And as long as he's pleased with me, the rest is out of question. Doesn't matter. He will be happy. He's already happy. Like, he doesn't need to wait for the students' grades. He's already. So I guess that's the difference. The both of them are using the same wood and nail. Both of them sending the same text message, maybe less emojis. Nothing, expecting nothing from these created beings. Oh, my creators, if you are happy with me, I'm happy.
I try to get to the flood. So there's next verse. So this verse. So it was until when our command came and the oven overflowed, we said, load upon it the shit of each. Okay, 2 mates and your family, except those about whom the word has proceeded, and whoever has believed, but none had believed with him except a few. So we talked about this, but none had believed with him except a few. It's this idea of there are things in your life, or there are things that the way your worldview that maybe you need to remove, that need to be gone, or that you need to like walk away from. And when you walk away, now you have a new path. But none have believed with him except a few. Maybe there's a few things that are staying, but you're like saying goodbye to the rest of them because you see that they're drowning. Like the worldview of I must sustain myself is a worldview that's drowning, so I walk away from it. But now what am I left with? I'm left with belief in God. I'm left with belief in the messenger. Like these are maybe a few things I'm left with, but they're all I need. It's a new path. And then it is interesting here, and I would like to get your perspective on this or what you think. This is load upon it 2 mates and your family. So like when I am asked to construct the ship under his supervision, with his inspiration, he says load it up with two mates, 2 pairs. Like what are these 2 pairs of men? Like, and your family too. And the son apparently doesn't fit it. The son, we'll see that it wasn't part of the family, but load this ship up. We were talking about constructing the ship with the material of safety. But now what are we're putting stuff inside of it. Apparently pairs of something. Like what are these?
So because we don't have much time, I will try to give very short, maybe answer, which is, let's read the next one as well. And embark there in Bismillah, with Bismillah, in the name of Allah. It's course, Majra, right? It's Majra, the course, whatever it experiences, whatever it, flows through, yes. And it's anchoring. Anchors, wherever it's like it stops, right? The target, the pad, the goal, and goal, all with the Bismillah. Indeed, my Lord is forgiving and merciful. And together with this one, so the way I understand every flood is a transformation. It takes you and make a new person. And what I mean with a new person, most of the things with you before the flood goes. So only a few, except those about whom the word has written and whoever has believed, But the believers with him was a few. Right? That's what the translation is. But the believers with him only a few. Meaning after this flood, only a few part about you will stay. Should stay. The rest should go away. So you should become a new person with every trouble, with every such experience. So you will take things from your past, from your family, right, with you, but only those who are on the same path with you, right? So you will not try to take things with you that obviously, clearly, against this new understanding. You have to leave them. You have to become a new person. As Prophet ﷺ said in a narration, a Muslim, a day of a Muslim is always different from the previous day. Right? I mean, you can take it lightly. Let's say you can take it every day. I should learn something new. Every day I should do something new. But also, there's a more profound way of taking it. With every day, with every death of your day. When you resurrect again in the morning, and the Prophet says it's a type of resurrection, you should become a new person. Most of the things you should leave behind. Things coming from your tradition, your past, your previous understanding, should leave behind. And on this new path, as Brother Yusuf was asking implicitly, the way is in the name of God. There's nothing more. You cannot take in the name of others. Everything in your life, you will read in the name of God. What it means to read in the name of God. Okay. We don't have much time.
That's.
Awesome. You have.
Go ahead.
Help us, Mohammed, sir.
If you read everything in the name of God,
No.
you're seeing Allah's names, qualities, and trying to understand where He is present. How He is present.
Even the things that you don't like, right? They are also created by your creator. So yeah, I guess that's why, very short answer.
So before we close, I would like to also touch on this verse.
Yeah.
And it sailed with them through waves like mountains, and Noah called to the son who was apart, "Oh, my son, come aboard with us and be not with the disbelievers." But the son said, "I will take refuge on a mountain to protect me from the water." Noah said, "There is no protector today, the decree of Allah, except for whom He gives mercy." And the waves came to meet him, and he was among the drowned. I think the figure of the son really personifies a lot of like we're talking about today, about how we might seek, if in the case of students, I seek acceptance from students, or I seek from my boss. It's a mountain I climb. Like, okay, to keep my job, I must climb the mountain of pleasing my boss. The son, instead of choosing to get on the ship, said, "No, I'll escape from the water with my own legs. I'll get on top of a mountain. The mountain will protect me." He was speaking in the name of the mountain, not here. Noah is saying this. وقال اركبوا فيها بسم الله. So in the name of God, بسم الله مجراها ومرساها إن ربي لغفور رحيم. So here it is not in the name of a mountain, but it's in the name of Allah that the Prophet is sailing, or the boat is sailing. So there's a completely different approach to, like, one, you can even say the son constructed the ship of trying to get on a mountain. You could say that. But then the ship here, it's constructed in the name of Bismillah. And I think just as like final remarks from me about what I really benefit from this, from the guidance of like the story of Noah, is the idea is not that to escape the flood. Like the prophet and the believers, they also were part of the flood. They also got flooded. It's not like when you're a believer, God is going to spare you. You're not going to go through hardship. You're not going to go through the flood. No, you also go through the same physical flood. you still are physically maybe out externally, you can't see a difference, but internally, the happiness you have or the contentment that you have, it's fully defined with, are you living through, is your ship, are you constructing a ship of Bismillah? Or is it a ship of, I will sustain myself, or is it my boss will help me, or my government's going to protect me, or my parents? Like, these are all the different things that you might seek refuge in. But the point of these floods is to kind of teach you. It's not to also give you pain. In the next session, we'll talk about, God doesn't want to give you hardship; He wants to give you ease. The points of these floods is not to give you hardship. The ease of it is then when it cleans you, like this flood, it cleans you of the things that you see kind of drown you. And you see, okay, the point is, I need to learn how to sail on the waters with Bismillah. And if I can do that, if I construct a ship where I can approach things in the name of God, meaning see the qualities of His names, seek refuge in Him, know that He is creating me, know that I'm dependent on Him. He gives life, He takes life. If I can remember all these things, He gives beauty, He takes beauty, then no one can be like my enemy. No one can come and steal from me, because I know my Creator is looking after me. So it gives you the sense of relief.
Alhamdulillah. So maybe one final practical example with this Bismillah is, we had this earthquake a while ago now, in month, more than and in Syria. So when you look at the news and everything people are talking about, so on and so forth, you would see a huge pile of discussions, because it was really big one, right? Still even continue with the effect. So there's a huge pile of discussion. And what is the proportion of this pile you think it's about the creator? Even like myself, close to zero. Let's be, nice to people and ourselves. It's not zero, but close to zero. We don't take it as something being created so that I can check myself, so that I can get something out. Only thing to concern about the material in the building, which is, of course, we have to discuss this at part. Material stuff, the prices of the government who didn't have the right policies, or the opposition who didn't have another, right? It's about the people who deserve, because they built their building on soft earth or some other things. All discussions are about this. Let's look at the alternative. We keep saying path of prophet, path of prophet. What would Sahaba do? When such a similar earthquake happened, let's say, in one narration, this is after the time of the Prophet, but because they were trained so well, the first thing they would do, they would go to, for instance, Aisha and ask her, oh, how should we read this event in the name of God? That would be the same question they would have. Like, what God is trying to tell us? Umar radiallahu anhu, when he was, when the earthquake happens, while the shaking is still going on, he prostrates and says, oh God, is it because I'm unjust? What he does, he treats it in the name of God. God is doing it. And speaking to him, to himself. That's the responsibility. It's not about, I'm not talking about the political responsibilities and so on and so forth. I'm just saying that it is about you and your creator. This is Bismillah. Boarding in the name of God. It means whatever happens, take it in the name of God. God is telling you something. And to you, not these people, He's telling you something. Read it this way. Everybody will read it this way. And when we come together, it will be about all of us. But everybody needs to read it in his own what did I do wrong? Right? If you take it as a punishment, take it as punishment for yourself. Why did I deserve it? So this is, I guess, what it means in the name of God. Whatever happens from God,
And also whatever you have is like in the case of an earthquake in my own life where something I love is taken from me, it gives me despair. But if I can sail with this Midah, if I can sail with this Midah, it's about seeing that my life is given. Everything from the moment I wake up to the moment I sleep, it's being given. That thing that I had, that I enjoyed so much, it was also being given, and I was enjoying it. I was being thankful, but now it's being taken away. But it's not being taken away to. I mean, you could take it as punishment, but I would say it's been taken away, maybe as a lesson, as some training, as some education, so that I learned that this thing that I love, actually, what I love was maybe the source behind it, the one who created this for me. And now, since I'm giving everything that I have to my creator, everything I have is from you, then I know, okay, then either in the hereafter or in the next thing, I know that beauty will still be there because the source of the beauty is not gone. So that thing will still exist. So when I'm able to give from what I have houses that get demolished in an earthquake. The house was already yours. I can say that to my creator. You will give me another place to stay. And then with this approach, I can find peace. Like with Bismillah, I can see it around me, but also within me, everything I can do. And it's not like I think it's also constructing a ship, floating, going to an anchor. It's like a path, a journey. It's not like one moment either. It's like constantly and all the time. It's like some time there.
so we are out of time. We have to conclude here, inshallah, at least officially. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين. الفاتحة.